helping students be successful academically. So under facility needs, we've got really 6 big things that we want to work on, and we know that we can't do all these at one time. We know that there's going to be stages to this. Our first one is West High School, and then 2, 3, 4, and 5, that is enclosing that open room class concept. So we've got those are our 4 schools that have those open classrooms to them. Some of them are worse than others. John Hay is not as bad as Lincoln Elementary. Right now, and some of you went through the tour, and if you've not gone through the tour, we really invite you to come out. Because at Lincoln Elementary School, anytime that a kid has to go to the restroom or go get a drink of water in some of those classrooms, they got to walk through 3 other classrooms. So you got to get up out of your classroom, walk through 3 other classrooms to go to lunch, to go to the guidance office, to go to the office. Now, a 3rd grade student going through classrooms, if you remember back to your elementary days, they're probably not going to make the best decisions as they walk through those classes. And there's going to be disruptions, there's going to be problems. Here's a teacher teaching. If in the other classroom you've got a teacher that's highly active, energized, and loud, then you're going to have to constantly be competing with her. If you just think today, if we were in this, school board was meeting over there without walls, fire department was meeting over there, and the hospital board was meeting over there, and we're all talking and we're all doing PowerPoints, and each one of us trying to get louder to kind of capture your attention. That's what our teachers do all the time. Now, it just so happens that these 3 schools that have the worst educational environments are also our schools that are the most at risk. They're the schools that have the highest economically disadvantaged. They're the schools that have the highest ELL, and they're also some of the kids with the highest special needs populations. So the schools that are in the worst shape academically are also the schools that have the worst educational environments. So that creates a couple problems for us. Yes, sir.
How did we get in the shape we're in on these open classrooms?
It's all about money in terms of going in and fixing these things up. And I think that one of the things that I really feel, and this is the thing that I shared with the board, our main priority is safety first. Our second priority is improving student achievement. We've got to improve these classrooms right here before we can move forward. And so it's a matter about priorities, and so this would be the priority that I would bring in front of this commission.
In 1984, that's the first time that Eastridge had this.
Yeah.
In 1984, I think our school system was doing what California did.
Yeah.
California was getting out of the open classroom, and here we are in Hamilton County getting into it.
Yeah, I won't say that any of us made the best decisions in 1984, either personally or professionally. But at that time, certainly, we made some bad decisions, I think. And now, I mean, we can't go back and change, well, we can go back. We can't go back and change that decision, but we can change this.
Speaking from experience, I taught in the open classroom for 2 or 3 years, and then we got some quasi walls put up, but we were scrounging bookcases, any kind of barricade, and back in those days you could still use corporal punishment. So you've got a group of 13, 14-year-old, 12-year-old students, and somebody's getting a paddling, I don't want to say 2 doors down because there were no doors, but over open area. I mean, it disrupted everything. And it was paramount to a zoo. It was totally ineffective. And I had come from a traditional classroom to teach an open classroom, and I was just like, I cannot believe that we are in this kind of situation. But of course, it was cheaper to build a warehouse than it is to build a house. So I'm sure that was the reason. But to answer your question, it was just...
It was cheaper. There was this concept of believing that kids would learn holistically, that you would pick up things from other classrooms, and of course you know that didn't work. It was just a nightmare. Now, not only do we have an educational issue, we also got a safety issue. So right now, what we do, the number one priority is that if you have an active shooter in the room, is lock your doors and hunker down. In these classrooms right now, if an armed intruder ever got through that first layer, there are no doors anywhere. So the number one thing that keeps people alive in an armed shooting situation is that we have no way to deal with that in most of these classrooms. Now, the third issue that we just want to bring to your attention, just so that you know, we have trouble with retention of teachers in some of these schools. And the problem with that is, if I'm a pretty good teacher, I've got some options. Almost any principal wants me. And the problem with that is I can either go to a school that has 4 walls and is newer, got less economically disadvantaged students, or I can stay here where we've got more economically disadvantaged students. The walls are open. It's that zoo kind of environment. And I won't say that because now our teachers really do a good job and they've learned to kind of deal with this. But it is a very difficult situation. So I can either deal with that facility or I can go down the road to something that's a little bit more conducive. And so the place that we need our best teachers are sometimes the hardest place to keep them there because the facilities are just not what we need. Now, I will say that we've got some principals and they do a phenomenal job in some of these buildings. And their teachers are extremely loyal to them and they stay there. But at the same point in time, you know, a lot of folks will kind of look like if I can go to a place that has better working environment in terms of facilities, it's a good place to be. Yes, sir.
Some of these larger classrooms where you actually have 3 individual classes with no separation, is there still only one exit door?
Yeah, that's one of the real problems that we're going to run into. No, you got to have 2.
So you do have 2.
You got to have 2.
Okay.
The fire marshal would shut us down, but your exit is to go through the other 2 classrooms to get there. So that's the problem that we run into, is that not only in case of fire, which seldom ever happens, but to go to lunch, to go to recess, to go to, I'm going to be walking through that other 2 classrooms.
Another lighting issue too, if you were going to show a video, you cut the light out, the rest of the classroom.
Yeah, the electricity is such that if you have to do a PowerPoint, as she cut the light off today for us, you cut the light off in the other room. So then the teacher is yelling across, I can't do that right now because I've got to do this on the whiteboard. And so it is, and you don't have to have much of imagination to realize what a problem this is. And especially with some kids that are already dealing with some obstacles. It's a safety problem, it's an instructional problem, there's a lot of issues associated with this. And then the last thing that we want to do is eliminate the mobile units. The mobile units, we have mobile units at Hillcrest, we've got mobile units at Fairview, and the thing that we're trying to do is get rid of some of those mobile units and get kids back in the building properly, because again, part of what we deal with is we've got to put kids out in the elements when it's raining, when it's snowing, when it's cold, to get them into lunch, to get them into PE, and then that we normally have a pretty good procedure in place when kids are in the building. When they're in transition is a time where safety always becomes an issue for us. So
Fairview Marguerite isn't in this.
yes, sir. Actually, I'm going to get to that, but they're actually in number 6, part of elimination of the mobile units. So Fairview and Hillcrest are in that part.
Do we rent or own those mobile units?
We own some and we rent some, and the original thought is you only want to lease if it's going to be temporary. You want to buy if you're going to keep them forever. It was our hope, of course, to get out of the mobile business quickly.
Do we resell those at the end?
You can't get a lot of money out of them at the end if you use them for a long period of time. But I mean, I think there was a discussion even among the county commission a couple months ago when we made the decision. We would have actually bought a couple of those units, but the problem is we'd have had to use our capital money to do that, and that would have we'd had to come up with more money and then done away with the bus or done away with something else to make it happen. So we're actually looking at this year's budget, because some of these mobile units we're going to have now for an extended period of time. even with an aggressive construction schedule. And so we're looking about purchasing those mobile units in, because it just makes more sense financially. All right, so the criteria. Anytime that you're going to come up with a plan, you need to have criteria first. Don't just say, I want to do this. You actually have criteria. First of all, does it make kids safer? Second, is it instructionally sound? Does it help our instructional program? Number 3, is it financially responsible? Can the county afford this? Now, I want to make it real clear to the county commission. Every dollar that we get for capital improvement is a dollar less we can get to take care of our people. So it is in my best interest too to make sure that we get our capital needs taken care of, but we're financially responsible about that, because the more money you spend on buildings, the less money we can spend on our people. And so we want to balance that out and make sure we make good decisions. Also, number 4, not does it meet only our short-term needs. Does it meet our needs today? Is it going to meet our needs 5 years from now and 10 years from now? Will it eliminate mobile units? And number 6, there's a concept that we have in school business about maximum facility use. Before you build something new, have you utilized every classroom that you got so far? Have you zoned your kids properly so that you don't have a school over here with 5 or 6 empty classrooms, but you build another school over here with 5 or 6 classrooms to take care of these kids? So maximize facility, making sure that you make a good financial decision, you make a good capital decision. Make sure that your classrooms are full. All right, so this is going to go over this with you guys. Project 1 is West High School. This is West High School. You can kind of see the front entranceway there. And does this have a laser on it?
If you press the middle button.
Okay, so this is the front entranceway here. This is the high school in this part. So this kind of shows you the campus that we have. So the things that we want to work on West High School is upgrade the mechanical, the electrical, and plumbing. We also want to renovate the restrooms. We want to expand the cafeteria. And then we want to replace the HVAC system. Now, the cost is a range here. The cost is somewhere between 7 and 12 million, and that's dependent on the scope of the work. The more work you do, the more it's going to cost. The less work you do, the less it will cost. We've not really decided on what to do there yet, and that's going to be part of our conversation. And part of the conversation that we need to have is just the most critical part that we have, or some of the elementary parts, most critical. And one of the things that I will mention is that even though you may not think that expanding this cafeteria is important, right now we can't get all the kids through, so we have longer lunch times at East. Because we have longer lunch times at West. Because we have longer lunch times, that means our scheduling is different at West than it is at East for the end of the block scheduling. So what it means is when we're sharing some classes now, the kids at West are going to get there a little bit later than what we can start. And so it hampers us on some things that we can do. Because what we eventually like to do is that we want to have, like for example in welding, we'd like to have just one place where welding is taught and then let kids travel back and forth. We already do that with some things, with our junior ROTC and some nursing program and that. But we've got to get our schedules matched up before we can do that. So it's not just about having a bigger cafeteria, it's also matching up some of the scheduling with this. So the scope would kind of depend, or the price would depend on the scope. Now the other part that we want to make the county commission very aware of, anytime that you do a renovation and you involve mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, about 60 to 70% of it you're never going to see because everything will be hidden. You know, your electrical's going to be in the wall and on the panels, your HVAC system, your sewage, your water supply, all that stuff's going to be covered. So you're going to walk into West High School and say, I thought we spent $10 million here. And unless you go in the bathroom or go in the cafeteria, you won't see it. But now, that HVAC is kind of important. And then also the plumbing is kind of important. So it's not that it's not important, it's just that you normally don't see a lot of that. And we like to be upfront with folks, because when you spend that kind of money, you'd like to see some things. But a lot of this is not necessarily new stuff, it's maintaining the stuff that we got, because some of these sewage lines right now, we ran a camera down in one of them, and the pipe's beginning to deteriorate. So we've got to do something there to go ahead and repipe that sewage before we end up with some major issues. And that's true of a lot of buildings that's 50, 60 years old. That cast iron stuff that we have in there is just breaking down. So, and the problem, to just further exacerbate our problem, most of those main sewage line goes right down the middle of the hallway on that terrazzo floor. So that's a main issue for us. You know, sometimes what we can do is reroute the sewage to a side and then get it on the outside and then route it back to the main line that way. And we're actually having our A&E guys looking at that now to see if we can do that, because we can never replace terrazzo with a better quality material now. And so we're trying to keep that in there without disturbing that piece. So just to let you know, that's kind of, now we'll come back to these, but I wanted to get through all of these first. Second one is Lincoln Elementary School. Lincoln Elementary School is over on this side. Lincoln Middle School is over on this side. We do own 30-some acres of land up on this hill. There is a graveyard located up here, and there's a name on the...
Do we own it?
Pardon me?
Did we own it?
We do own it.
Good foresight on that school board whenever they did that.
Well, that could very well be the case. I don't know if they knew about it or not, but we do own it.
If they walk through it, they'll find it.
Okay. It is up there. That and...
Have you been up there?
Pardon me?
Have you been up there?
Yes, sir. I've walked up there, and it's probably got 10 or 15 gravestones up there. Plus, there's a huge concrete barrier,
Wall around
a
it.
wall around it that has Johnson on it.
One of your old teachers, Bill Henderson, and I used to go up there. There's also a Civil War battle up there, and I found dozens of mini bombs.
Okay.
Okay? The graves are, it's up off the ground.
Yeah.
They're concrete. They got a piece of steel that's half curved down in.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little...
But how close are you wanting to get to that graveyard?
Well, that's what I'm going to tell you about. We're not going to, because moving graveyards, that's a tough business to be in. So we're not really looking at that. Plus, we've got such grade elevation problems right here. We don't really think that area right there is feasible at all.
I know, because there's another graveyard in Morristown out on South Cumberland, like AutoZone.
Yes, sir.
AutoZone borders the graveyard.
Right.
I didn't know why. You couldn't do it.
So this is our area. Now, part of the problem that we would deal with if we went in and remodeled on this side. So say that we did go ahead and keep Lincoln Elementary right here. I believe, who was talking about the exits? Was it you? Okay. What we've got right now is that according to the new fire code, is that a kid's got to have 2 exits out of every room. Because some of these classrooms are interconnected, we've got to build an internal hallway to give them that second exit. That hallway has to be a minimum width, depending on how many kids we've got in there. And it's got to be a certain length. So if that particular hallway is 40 feet by 4 feet, you know, you're losing a classroom by just putting that hallway in. And we have to have several of those hallways. So we're estimating right now that we'll probably lose 5 or 6 classrooms over on the Lincoln side. We'll probably lose 5 or 6 classrooms over on the middle school side. So the problem that we have right now by looking at this campus, where would you put those additional classrooms without using parking or disrupting this piece? Now, we do have a football field. But if we put any of those classrooms over there, then we've separated it by the road. We could bring the road in here again. But then we lose our football field and some practice fields, and that's an issue for us. So, and then the other morning going to work, and I'm sure you guys have seen this too, the traffic through here is an absolute mess. It was actually backed up out onto the main road the other day when I came in. We were pour in the rain, and visibility was a problem, an issue. So the Lincoln campus was never built with the understanding that a third of our parents were going to bring their kids to school. You know, if everybody rode a bus, it'd be a lot easier and we could get them in and out quicker, but we have several kids coming forth there every morning. So Lincoln Elementary School is the second phase. We're going to enclose the classrooms, that's a big part. We're going to upgrade the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Now, one of the things, and some of you may know this, you've been around, but they use that old duct board in the past to do the ventilation system. If you don't know what that duct board is, it's kind of like compressed cardboard that you use them for your ventilation system. That was a low-end residential adaptation that we're using now in a high-end commercial setting. And a lot of what we're doing is the ductwork now has got a lot of hose that's deteriorated, and so it's beginning to let the heat and the air force up into the ceiling, which is doing no good for us on the bottom. So we've got to replace the HVAC when we go in there, or we'll never get the energy efficiency that we need. Also, we've got to upgrade the plumbing. While we're doing all this, there's no need of putting a brand new transmission in the car when you got other situations wrong with it too. Either fix the whole thing or don't fix anything. And then also there's a lot of things that we've got to do to ADA compliance. A lot of our bathrooms are not ADA compliant with the Americans with Disability Act. So we have to create doors of a certain size. We've got to create restrooms a certain size. The water fountain's got to be placed at a certain level. That is not negotiable. And I know that you guys are probably familiar with that if you've ever done any kind of renovations. You don't have an option in that. You've got to do that. So now the cost of this is somewhere around $6 million. Now a lot of folks will say, we can go in over the weekend and put up some walls, but we really can't do that because we got to do the hallways, we got to do the mechanical work, we got to do the electrical work. So all that is going to cost this amount of money. Now, one thing that I do want to mention, of this $6 million, we got to put kids somewhere while we're doing this work. About 1.2 million of this $6 million is in what we call relocation fees. That's mobile units. That we got to put kids somewhere while we're doing this work, and it's going to cost about $1 million to do that. So at the end, $1 million we've just lost because it really has no long-term effects for us.
For how many kids?
Pardon me?
For how many kids?
Well, it depends on what we want to do and how fast we want to do it. So you could go maybe a little pod at a time and then get 4 or 5 mobile units and put them out there and that. But the problem is if you only do 4 or 5 spaces at one time, you're going to increase the construction schedule. And if you increase the construction schedule, you're going to increase the cost of the contract. Because contractors want to get the work done and get out and get paid. And if they've got to lengthen that construction schedule, you got to pay for it. So the quicker we can get in, do the work, and get out, the more money we can save. The longer we make that, the more issue we have. Now the other problem that we have is that while I'm in that 4 or 5 classrooms, right beside that, I got a kid with upper respiratory issues, allergies, all other kinds of problems. So then they're going to be breathing in these fumes. We got, asbestos that we've got to contain in some of this, and so let alone the disruption pieces. A lot of problems associated with, renovating a building that close and that closed in.
You have architectural drawings on there, this is what you want to do?
Yes, sir. We've got some preliminary pieces associated with that that we can come back. We wanted to give you the overall view first, and then we'll come back with specifics. If you guys want to come back to a work session and us lay out the floor plans for you, we can do that.
What's the time schedule on it? How long is it?
On this, if we were to do it within this, we're assuming that this will take about 24 months if we started, because we would have to have the 2 summers to get everything done. We could normally build a building in 12 to 16 months. Normally a renovation will take us another half a year to do that. Lincoln Middle, so then we would switch over to Lincoln Middle, same kind of issues. So we're not gonna go over that, you've got that there, but about $6 million also to do that in construction. When we got here, to be determined.
Who's the architect?
We have, we've got Coke on one of them, and then the other one is Lewis. So, and I forget which one is which, but we got one doing one and Coke doing it.
Lewis do first time.
Okay, Lewis and Coke's doing this one for us. Metaview, same situation, and I gave you guys pictures of this, you just see now. Our land basically, it kind of goes back here just a little bit. It's got a kind of a funny jog back here, but it doesn't include that back part. It's basically right in here and in that area there. So middle school, the good thing about Metaview is that only 2 of the grade levels are open classrooms. So 6th grade's closed in, 7th and 8th is open. So we don't have as much to do at Metaview as we do the other ones. Same kind of thing, about $5 million. The price will drop down just a little bit because we don't have the same kind of number of classrooms. John Hay, again, John Hay would have the open classrooms. We don't have to do the hallways in John Hay. A lot of those have an exterior door plus access to the main hallway. So that's probably not going to be this amount. It might be a little bit less than that because we won't have to add a lot of hallways. But John Hay right now doesn't have enough spaces for all the classrooms they need. They've got a couple of folks in sub-classroom environments teaching right now, so we may have to build a couple additions to that. So the number may come up just a little bit. All right. Then the mobile units, the ones, and I forgot to change this particular piece. These classrooms are not accurate on this, but we do have mobile units at Fairview, and for every mobile unit, we got 2 classrooms in there. So a mobile unit equals 2 classrooms, because the mobile units are big enough that we can put classrooms in there. So we got classrooms at Fairview, and we got classrooms at Hillcrest. So, and in that, we want to make sure the thing that we were going to do, we bought land here at Fairview. We were going to build a new school in Fairview. We were going to rezone some of Hillcrest, send those kids out to Hillcrest, and then occupy the new school. When we first started looking at this, well, prior to my coming here, the cost on this was somewhere around $15 million. Construction has been booming here lately, and the cost of construction has gone up. Some of these last estimates that we have is closer to $18 million. So,
From the architect.
pardon me?
From the architect.
From the architect, yes, sir. Now, what we will do when we do this is we'll get a cost from the architect, and then we'll also go out and we will hire an independent estimator and get an estimate from that person also to see if those 2 match up.
It's
Sometimes,
just wasting money, it's gonna tell you the same thing.
well,
It
sometimes.
depends on what it is, but
Yeah.
it's good. That's-
I've had good experience with doing that, because then it keeps everybody honest that people don't try to inflate prices just to kind of cover
The
themselves.
bid process does that in the state of Tennessee.
It does it to a certain degree, but it helps you all to determine how much money you need, and if the architects and engineers are way off under-wise, then you can find that out before you go in, because the thing that I don't want to do is tell you guys it's going to cost $17 million, and then come back and say the bids came in at $18 million.
Not worried about that, I'm worried about 17 to Pennsylvania 13.
I'd love to have that problem, because I'll come back and tell you, we got $3 million extra, or we got $4 million extra, what do you want to do with it? I'd love to give that back. Because one of the things that I promised,
School board make that decision, or do you make that decision?
school board would make that decision.
In the past, that hasn't happened.
Well,
It's been
and I
used
tell
in
you,
other places.
there's a couple things in the past that has happened. I will come to this commission every month and give you an update, a financial and progress, if you want to see it. Everything's going to be open and transparent. We'll give you every invoice. We'll give you a drawdown schedule. The mayor, he can look at that. We'll follow that drawdown schedule. If I do my job, at the end, we all have some money left over. And at the end, we make a determination collectively what we do with that. Because this is not the last time we're going to come to you guys. And if I don't do you right this time, next time I come, you'll know that, and there'll be responsibility associated with that. Because you've not worked with me, but I promise you right now, we don't have budgets and we don't come to you and tell you that it's gonna cost this much, knowing it's gonna be something else. We won't hide nothing. We'll come to you, as I did in the last project, our last project that I did in Wise County, we came in about $500,000 under budget. We went back to the Board of Supervisors, who's the county commission in Virginia, and we said, guys, we've got $500,000, you can have that back. What do you want to do with it? Now, they collectively made a decision that they were going to do some other work at the school, but our school board said, we promised you this, I promised you this, what do you want to do? Now, of course, you know that when we get to the bond, we can't fool around and do stuff that's not within the bond.
We're working on an issue now where we don't have to do the bond.
All right, that makes it even easier. So, it's a situation there, but my word
Subject
to
the
you is as
approval
strong
of
as
the
a bond.
commission.
My word to you is as good as a bond. I'll tell you right now, I'll give you what the prices are. You will see that, because those are public record anyway. It's not that we can hide that anyway. And you guys pay those anyway, so you see them. But I'll make it real clear to you and show you what we got. If we got money left over, you guys help make the decision.
You're familiar with Boone's Creek's Humo School?
Roughly, yes, sir.
Okay. The architect came out at $44 million built. Washington County went and hired a construction manager themselves outside the school system.
Yeah.
And they eliminated the gym and maybe one other little thing, and it came in at $25 million. And that's, I've never been against funding school projects, never have, never will. I've been against the money that's left over going to projects that we don't have any say-so in. And I will emphasize that again, we've talked about it.
Yeah, we have.
And it's just the practice in the past doesn't back you up, and then there again, I think this other route we can control.
With what other dates you had in the past?